Anyway, we were chatting about that beforehand, and I think that new technology or any massive change of the significance we're looking at. And by the way, we're inviting ChatGPT into our mastermind, but ChatGPT is not the only source here. And that's part of I think the beauty of it is we have a mastermind with hundreds of years of business experience. We have people here in this community with all kinds of different views of the beach ball. And so as we look at what we might be learning or thinking we're learning from ChatGPT or getting ideas, that's a beautiful thing. We still have to filter it through a few brain cells. We've got to kind of go in, look at our frontal lobe, see if it makes sense. And I think actually having a mastermind group taking some input and then helping us kind of think about, okay, is that really hit the mark like we did with Casey last week? And I think there was some value that she got from ChatGPT, but she also got some value from our group in terms of kind of putting maybe that into context or taking it to the next level. So that's a lot of what we're doing. So I wanted to kind of talk about today for a second, and then we'll go around, do some introductions since it's 9:45. And I appreciate everybody's participation in here. I can't tell you how valuable it is to me to have people from different angles to do this. So there's no right or wrong in regards to this. It's all about expanding. I mean, there may be some things that we take away and say this is right and that's wrong. That's up to you. I'm not telling you this is the world according to everybody else, right? This is something you can process, you take away, you take your warrior mind, you apply it to it. So we are really today focusing on real and executable and sustainable progress today. That's what we really want to do. So we want to capitalize on the relationships we have in our network. And by the way, we invite Sherpas into this mastermind. So if you know somebody who is an expert, if you will, or maybe I don't think there's any experts right now, to be honest with you, although I did look at there's a YouTube that I was watching that the guy was explaining how ChatGPT works, which it's 3 hours long. So I obviously haven't listened to the whole 3 hours, but there are things to learn. But back to the basic premise of a mastermind, and you can see how it could be of value, and we could come away with some real actionable things here. Is what we all have to do is create a goal or identify a challenge. And that's what is the input, if you will, into a mastermind. And we each bring our own goals and challenges. And then in the mastermind, we discuss possibilities, solutions, actions from the group. And then now we've added, ChatGPT to the thing. So we can, maybe that's a little more starter dough, a little more fodder that we can add into our discussion with, hopefully, if we come out of something out of here that you can take away, that what I will do is, as I've done with Casey and some others, is I said, okay, we pursued this. This is what I got out of it. And here's what we got. Take it or leave it. Run with it, kind of thing. So that's what we're about. This is being recorded, so somebody watching this after the fact can come back, and they're always welcome to join us. But this is now kind of the core of how we're proceeding with this weekly mastermind. We may have guests that come in and say, we want to talk about this specific topic, or we want to focus on this, and we'll still do that. But for the most part, this is about us, learning and helping each other. And so to kind of get our head around this very new, very powerful capabilities. So that's what this is about. Let's go around real quick, just so everybody gets a chance to make sure everybody knows. Karen, thanks for joining us. I'm not sure. I think this may be the first one of these ChatGPT masterminds. And again, it's not about ChatGPT. We have invited, as I say it, ChatGPT to the mastermind. So we may say, okay, what does ChatGPT say about that? Or let's ask it this question. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. And if we learn something new, one of the things I'm going to invite you to do as you introduce yourself is just declare if you have, and this is fine. If you've never even, you just know about it, but you've never done anything, that's fine. Or if you've got more experience, I would ask that you share that as well. So we kind of know kind of where you're at on your journey of trying to apply this tool to have an impact in your business. Okay. So Casey, I'm going to start with you. Since you were one of the first ones on. I know Bill was the first, but I like to start with the women. So you know, I want to be respectful. So Casey, go ahead.
Okay, first of all, did you get the question that I posed to you that you requested we do that? Did you get it?
Did you send it earlier today? If you did, I did. I will get it. Is it an email?
Yes, yesterday.
Okay. I'll look at that while you're introducing yourself.
Okay, perfect. So my educational goal is to let everybody know and remind you that healthy stem cells are critical to our well-being. I mean, that's kind of common knowledge. But how does that work? How do we make sure that our stem cells are healthy when they start deteriorating when we're in our 20s? Well, we are able to now, with phototherapy technology, we're able to rejuvenate those cells, to reactivate them, and even to make new cells. So when that happens, we have less pain. There's less chance of us aging prematurely. We're able to get better sleep. We're able to have better stamina, more flexibility, less anxiousness, less brain fog as we get older. So if you'd like to know more about that, please reach out. This phototherapy technology is phenomenal. We just have to let people know and educate, kind of like what we're doing with ChatGPT. We just have to know a little bit more about it so that it works for our benefit. Signed, Casey with LifeWave. Thank you.
Awesome, Casey. Good job. Okay, Karen, the other lady on the call, my last check here, go ahead and unless anybody identifies differently, feel free to volunteer to be next. But Karen, go ahead.
Holder Insurance Agency. I help people take care of and manage their risk. So let them know the difference between what their policy is going to cover and then what they are going to be responsible for when a claim occurs, not if. And I'm concentrating now more on the long-term care planning side of the health insurance. So because Medicare does not cover when your mind and body reverts back to being two, it does not cover that because that's considered custodial care. So we all need to look at our long-term care plans and what we need to get, because 55 to 70% of the population, if they live to be in their senior years, will need long-term care in a facility or people coming into their home. And that's averaging, depending on what you decide, over $100,000 a year for that. So does your retirement plan include the long-term care?
Awesome. And where are you at? I know where Casey's at. Karen, where are you at with ChatGPT?
I don't have a ChatGPT. I do have things that are similar to that will write things for me. So I have the AppSumo version of a smaller ChatGPT.
Okay, so you're using an alternative technology. Okay.
Yeah. Hi, hello.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Bill Harrison, since you were the first you do identify as a male, right? Correct.
Last time I checked.
Okay. So you're a he, him. So he, him, Bill Harrison. Tell me, tell us why you're here.
Okay. Well, most of y'all know my story, so I'm not going to go back through all of that. You'll hear that again tomorrow if you're there. But what I'd like to mention is that not only was I there before, excuse me, before fax machines, but back when I started my engineering career, everything was on paper. There was no such thing as digital, computer graphics or any of that. It was before. I think fax was one thing that came along, but the things that I think have had the biggest impact on my career and on my life have been things like really when email first came on board. And I know in the firm that I was in, we had a very limited capability of that. Didn't really have the World Wide Web yet. It was mostly kind of within the organization. But nobody really wanted to do it. But I volunteered to be the first one to get the equipment to be able to try that. And once I got on, everybody else wanted to. So learned how to do that. And I think the biggest things during my 80 years or so that affected things have been not only email, but especially the World Wide Web and what I was really taking off from that. And that's given me the opportunity then to be in touch with people all over the globe at various points in time to discuss what I'm interested in and what their backgrounds are and how things go. And by the way, one of my key strengths is what I consider to be lifelong learning. And there's always something new coming along. And I find it interesting to try and keep abreast of things. The people that I work with now that are in job transition, I've had to learn the whole way that you go about finding a job these days, which is much different than the last time I was out looking in 1998. It's all digital these days. And teaching people how to do that and to not be afraid of it and to jump in with both feet and, get into social media and especially LinkedIn and what all you can do with it, not only reactively, but proactively to find the kind of work that you really need to be doing based on your strengths, your experience, your passions, and your personality. So that's where I am at this stage. And as far as ChatGPT, I know almost nothing about it, but I'm ready to learn more.
All right. Awesome, Bill. Ricky Jean, good job. Ricky Jean, I think you were next on. You want to Ricky is also kind of my co-host here today. By the way, Randy is in a doctor's appointment, so he won't be joining us with his amazing questions. But keep him in your thoughts and prayers. I think it's a regular appointment. So, but anyway, Ricky, why don't you go ahead?
Well, Ricky Jean Wright. I write songs with my hands. I play musical instruments with my hands. The older I get, the more I'm more shy about new technology. The older I get, I sort of dream of the day when I live off the grid. Nobody knows who I am, but I think I ruined that. If you Google me, I'm on the grid. So I'm actually just an interested party listening, trying to learn more about, the ChatGPT, but I'm not someone who's dived in and become a Sherpa or expert. I also heard that our host was a Sherpa expert on the fax machine, so I thought I might, learn some more about that.
Yeah. We're having this thing right now because today he's a year older than me. So but that only lasts for a couple months. So we have this back and forth, and then we also debate on who's the better golfer at times, and I think he's winning the debate right now. But that's okay. We're on a journey. So
Dave,
Yeah.
I am the better golf cart driver.
Yeah, I was going to say
That is true, because my upcoming hip replacement surgery will attest to. So yeah, yeah, my skills at driving golf carts by myself, I need to be supervised now. So I appreciate that you bringing that up. Okay, Bernie, you're up.
Good morning, warriors. My opening ask, as always, is simply, might you know a family who's looking for a do-right in-home care company? I'm the owner of First Class Caregivers, and we're a premium brand of assisted living for those who care to age or rehab in the comfort and safety of home. You know, we're not clinical, but we're indispensable. And of course, my best referrals come from family females who culturally do about 70% of emergency family care. And we all know that's not fair. An old storyline said it best. Mom and dad died from the same cause, but only dad had the illness. We're first class caregivers. We're help with stuff when family care is not enough.
All right, Bernie, good job. Always love your way of presenting your business. It's very clear and articulate. I don't think you got that from ChatGPT, though. So, but by the way, Bernie didn't say this, but he's very actively playing with ChatGPT and is probably on my own journey, maybe a Sherpa here ahead of me. But that's okay, because I'm not trying to be the smartest guy in the room. I think ChatGPT hits that one on the head, at least as long as we all apply our frontal lobe to the output. Zip, you want to introduce yourself, buddy? I see you looking. We're looking at there you go. He's driving. Don't wreck, but Zip, you need to, for some reason you're muted. I think maybe it was when you changed your up. Okay, well, we'll come back. Zip is into many things, and he's an awesome connector. Let me introduce Zip for everybody here. He has a CBD product that has a lot of value to it, and also has some attributes of that can work in conjunction with your lifestyle changes to help you lose weight. And also, he is a master packager, and that's kind of his day job, and is always out on the road trying to entertain or work with his clients. So I'm always appreciative of Zip joining us. We give him a hard time because he's always on the run, but that's a beautiful thing when you're out there trying to make an impact. So I don't diminish that. And let me introduce Robbie D, since he's in the waiting room at the vet with his situation, which some of you heard earlier. Robbie D is an amazing resource as well, because he's been into investment banking. If you don't know that about him, you need to have a one-to-one. So he has a lot of insights. If you're more so even than some of these 7 streams of income people that we talk to or whatever, he can tell you the realities around a lot of that stuff more so than somebody who's hyping trying to get you to buy some particular investment product. So it's just another little value add to Robbie D if you get to know him. The other thing is he's a real estate mogul, both in commercial and residential rental properties and real estate. And he's got a passion project called Greenhouse Communities that we actually had ChatGPT a couple of weeks ago create a business plan for that. I know he's got a business plan, but we are working on that, and it's a community gardening project that I think is pretty fascinating, pretty exciting, maybe very timely in today's world with making sure you have food if in fact things can go south, if you will. So with that, I think that I've covered everybody but myself. For those of you who are on this recording or you're listening, my role is, and my life purpose is, to change the world one dream at a time. You say, how do you do that? How can you change the world? We all can change the world. We all have an impact. my whole journey since I retired from the corporate world 17 years ago is to really understand, as Bill talks about quite often, we're very aligned in terms of understanding why God has me on the planet, what unique value I can provide, and then if anything were possible, and oh, by the way, everything is possible, what kind of impact would I have, and what does my ideal day look like? And I kind of went through a journey of discovery of that, crystallized that process in what I call the Vision Challenge, which I actively don't go out and promote. It was an online program for a bit. Then I went back to doing one-to-one with people on it, then had a workshop for a bit. Now I'm back to, it's a tool that I'll use kind of like ChatGPT to help you along the journey of understanding why you're here, the value you provide, and where you're going. The other thing is I retired 17 years ago, which is retirement is not doing nothing. Retirement is doing what you want, when you want, who you want, where you want, and having hopefully the impact that you want to be recognized for when you get to the end of the journey. So that's kind of how I live my life. Today, you're part of my ideal day. Every Tuesday, you are part of my ideal day because I design my ideal day every day. And I live my life by divine appointment. So anybody here can click on the link, schedule a one-to-one, anybody that comes afterwards, and I'd be happy to understand or help you have clarity on why you're here, what the value provide, and then figure out who to connect you with, which is why we have Warrior Networking that can help you along that journey. For example, if you want to be healthier or have some tools to do that, I could introduce you to Casey or Zip or any number of people. If you need insurance challenge, if you got insurance challenges or trying to manage your risk, I can introduce you to Karen and others in our network. So I don't do those things. I'm not learning to do those things. I'm looking for people that are in what I would call my toolbox to introduce you to, because again, I'm retired and I do what I'm inspired to do on a daily basis. So anyway, that's me, more than you probably wanted to hear. What I'd like to do now, and Casey, I did get your question. If somebody else sent me one that's here, let me know, but I put your question in. I've already, ChatGPT is giving me an answer. And so we will go back to that, and I will be happy after the mastermind to give you a copy of what ChatGPT shared with me when I asked the question in my words that you asked me to ask. So, but I'll kind of tease that for a minute. I want to go around a little bit. We already talked about kind of our experience with ChatGPT. Does anybody have kind of and by the way, as Randy would say, there's no dumb questions. Mm-hmm. Okay. The only dumb question is the one you choose not to ask. So in the spirit of, safe space, anybody have any questions, whether they're about ChatGPT or challenges or goals that they showed up at the party today that they'd like us as a mastermind to kind of think about or discuss? You can put it in the chat, or you can just say it out loud. Most everybody, or most of you, or some of you are muted, some are not. If you're muted, obviously unmute, but anybody? Go ahead, Casey. I'll actually put your question up in a second. Was there another? Do you have another question or?
Well, I'm struggling with the question that I sent to you. As an adjunct to that is, it seems to me, since I've never been part of any kind of a networking group, such like this, a multi-level or whatever. But it seems to me that my business is primarily focused on a one-to-one basis. I can't, it'd be more difficult to send out a group email or a group something or put on Facebook or whatever. It's a one-on-one business, and I'm not sure how ChatGPT can help me with that.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll actually put your question up in a second. Was there another? Do you have another question or?
Well, I'm struggling with the question that I sent to you. As an adjunct to that is, it seems to me, since I've never been part of any kind of a networking group, such like this, a multi-level or whatever. But it seems to me that my business is primarily focused on a one-to-one basis. I can't, it's a one-on-one business, and I'm not sure how ChatGPT can help me with that.
Okay. I'm actually taking my version of what the question you asked here. So, anybody else?
Well, talking about reaching a wider audience is really what I'm always looking for. And the best work that I do, probably like you, Casey, is when you get the opportunity to go one-on-one with somebody and talk about their experience and what they're looking for, and why they may or may not be satisfied with what they've been doing, and what else can they do that's more aligned with who they really are and what their purpose in life is. And I use social media just to let people know that we're there. And if they want to talk about that, here's how you can get in touch with me. And if you get in touch with me, then I'll be glad to do the one-on-one with you. Or you can present things that my friend Mike and I do about strengths and all of that in a group. But we both find it's a lot better off if you get into a one-on-one situation. But you can use the social media to let people know that you're there and that you're willing to talk about that. Anybody that's interested in that. So I just invested with my publisher a little bit to do some more advertising work of the books that I've written and the work that I do, so that I reach a little bit wider audience with respect to that, without spending a whole lot of money. And social media is really the best way to do that, without having to pay for a lot of ads and things. That's a good place to start.
So, Bill, you actually, in what you said, you have a question we could ask ChatGPT, but I'm gonna use Casey's for the moment. Any other thoughts before we get into that? Ricky, go ahead.
Well, I don't think that so far, I don't think that ChatGPT will replace you out doing things and making personal connections. And I've been, singing and finding places to sing since 1980. Nothing really to do with anything but the people that I've met, the people that I've gained relationships with. And I've been 12 years after I left the manufacturer's rep business in the merchant services arena and as an independent rep. And that's the same thing. The long-lasting customers that I've had for a decade or more now have been through personal relationships. There's never been anybody just find me from social media or find me, that wasn't referred to me that became a long-term customer. I think ChatGPT is a tool, but it's not a tool to replace you.
Right.
Yeah, and I would agree with that, Ricky. And I think that is kind of a fundamental, if you will, in terms of the other thing that I find interesting on that point, and it's not exactly the point, but it really is, if you think about it, as I mentioned earlier, my inbox is blown up with all of these new programs, not only my inbox in my email, because I am getting emails to both email addresses that I have, one that I get 350 emails a day, and I didn't opt into these emails. I'm sure I got it. And the other one I get about 100 emails a day now. It started out with 0 because I created a new, the David@myvisionwarrior.com is my now one that you guys use, that I want to be able to make sure I get your responses, even though I didn't get Casey's this morning, not because just because I wasn't on it. But anyway, so the whole point is there's these programs that say, okay, here's a list of 2,000 or 2,500 prompts. Anybody see those programs? You want to buy this, it's only $17 or $14 or whatever. The only thing I will tell you is from what little I've known, and again, as I've said off and on, that ChatGPT is a tool, and I know enough to be dangerous. I will tell you that it adapts to how you write the chat, how you write the prompt. So if you use somebody else's question, you're losing, in my opinion, by the way, and it's one of, remember, I said I know enough to be dangerous. I think you're losing some of the possibility and potential of ChatGPT, because the first starting point is, how do you see the question?
Yeah.
How do you word the question? So we can do that on the mastermind, and we can, but if you ask the question and you've had a conversation, it's kind of like me having a conversation with Casey. Casey's beginning to know what I know. She's beginning to know how I think. She's beginning to know how I might say something, how I might want to communicate something. Not that she knows enough to be dangerous about that. However, ChatGPT does the same thing. It's just, it does it amazingly fast. It does it mind-blowingly fast. And if you understand, I learned enough to be dangerous today about how it does it. Do you realize that ChatGPT, when it crafts a response, it starts with the first word and then adds the second word and the third word? You know, it doesn't say, okay, this is what I want to communicate, and then go from the, remember, begin with the end in mind, or envision where you're going and write something as a response. It doesn't do it that way. It does it word by word, and it does it based upon not only the database with the current non-beta, non-ChatGPT 4 version, everything through 2021 in terms of data that's available on the internet, right? So it's taking that database and it's taking the probabilities of whether this particular word is the best next word to put in this stream or this thread, and then put a period on it, put proper punctuation, things that our millennial children don't do, and makes it look like it's intelligent human thought. Okay. Now that may sound demeaning to ChatGPT, but it just blows my mind that that's how it does it. But I just learned that today. So if you didn't know that, you learned something. If you did, it's pretty bizarre. Bernie, you had your hand up before I started rattling.
That's okay. That was a nice rattle. The fifth, my question to chat would be, tell me the 50 best crafted questions for small business needs. And as you said, it's the crafting of the question that I have the most challenge with. So if chat knows the top 50 crafted questions for small business needs, that might be helpful.
Okay, can you hold that thought for a second, and I'll come back to that one, because I'll have to initiate a new chat for that one, but we'll see if we can do that real time. The good news is, it's not, we have to go away and think about it. We just put it out there, and ChatGPT at least get us some starter dough to stimulate our thinking. Is one of the things I love about it. Anybody else have anything that they want to get out there?
Listening to Ricky Jean, I kind of think the thing that he and I are both wanting to know is how can ChatGPT help us get in touch with more people that might be interested in talking to us, so that we might be interested in developing a relationship. That we both agree, you do your best work one-on-one, but how do you find the people that might be good to have that conversation with?
It kind of piggybacks on the question that I sent to Dave.
Oh, okay.
What method is the best for what you want to accomplish.
Yeah.
Okay, so Karen, did you have anything you wanted to throw out there before we go? Okay, so Karen's shaking no. She's kind of going, these guys are just insane. Okay, so no, she doesn't. She loves me. I know that. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to share my screen, so you're not going to get to see my beautiful face here, but I'm going to share. Let's see, where did I do? Okay, I have a few tabs open. Okay, so I'm going to share the screen. Can you see my screen?
Very.
Okay.
Got to put my glasses on now.
I know we're old. We're old, but you're not going to, I'll read it. It says, so Casey, this is the question that Casey sent to me, and I think I pretty much captured, but if I didn't, it says, how can I determine which marketing strategy to use for LifeWave to get the best return on investment? First of all, you can also explain, if you went into a dialogue with ChatGPT, you could start to clarify for ChatGPT any nuances or things that you particularly know about LifeWave to help it refine. But here's what it said. Determining the best marketing strategy for LifeWave would require a thorough understanding of the company's target audience, products, and budget. Here are some steps you can follow to identify the most effective marketing strategy. And then it says, identify the target audience, how you do that, conduct market research, how do you do that, define marketing objectives, choose marketing channels, develop a marketing plan, test and measure. And then it says, overall, the key to determining the best marketing strategy for LifeWave is to have a deep understanding of the target audience, set clear goals, and measure the effectiveness of each tactic. It may also be helpful to consult with a marketing expert or agency to develop and execute a successful marketing plan. Pretty much general response. But the good news is, you say, okay, well, I'm a marketer. I already know all that. Casey, are you a marketer? No.
Everything they said, I know.
The answer is no, you're not. But generally speaking, you understand what ChatGPT is telling, right? Because we started with a very general question. Then correct. Casey today added, so how can I use this strategy for one-to-one conversations? I think that's what I put in there as my interpretation of her verbal query that she added to it. So I said, so following on to that general description is identify the target person. Okay, the target person is the person you're having a conversation with or going to have. Determine who it is, who you're speaking with, their needs, interests, and goals. Get to know them better. Good point. Create a buyer persona for that individual. In other words, this is the kind of person that really responds. So if I were to take ChatGPT's bullet 1, right, and say, how do I do that? I would say, I look at this person, I look at the results of what they experience with it. You're doing this already. How do I take that and then really do that? And it starts with, really learning about the person. Makes sense. Everybody would agree with that here. Conduct research, try to understand their background. This means, again, building the relationship. This will help you tailor the conversation, define conversation objectives. How do you want to go about it? What are you hoping to do or close a deal? Okay, so the mindset that ChatGPT is bringing, which, by the way, I would correct if we were doing this. I mean, in this mastermind context, is you close the deal, but you probably don't do it in the first conversation. Relationships are ongoing.
Yeah.
You don't close a relationship, right? So anyway, but that's just a point. Choose communication channels, really how to best communicate for follow on to that one-to-one person. How do you do it? Plan the conversation, listen and adapt. Listen is an important thing we would all learn, and then follow up. That's probably the biggest area I find people lacking in, is when they have one-to-ones with other people, they're personal responsibility of following through, continuing to develop that can be questionable. Let's put it that way. So I realize I didn't go to Casey. I'll send you the actual written information. I'll just put it in, send it in a Word document or email of that. So if you're talking to, and this is actually open to Casey or anybody else that maybe this has triggered a thought, what other question would you follow on, staying on that thread for the moment?
Well, I think all of that is phenomenal. It's just really good information. It's solid information. It's information that we kind of know already, but to see it consolidated, that's really excellent. And once I'm talking with somebody, once I've got somebody who has shown some interest, that's not the concern I have. I'm trying to figure out how to have a bigger impact, and it may not be possible. I may be relegated to the one-on-one. So I'm trying to do more like health and wellness fairs where I can see more people and they could view more things without any pressure. And I'm thinking about, should I even bother with Facebook posts? Should I pay for Facebook posts? Should I pay somebody else to post them? Is that even the ROI? That's what I was looking for. Should I devote more money into having somebody develop an email campaign for me? I'm trying to figure out where, or if to put money behind some of these efforts, or just to continue with what I'm doing.
Okay, a lot of words. I crafted a response. Let me see if it's still continuing the thread. One of the things you have to, yep. So one of the things is, the good news about ChatGPT is it keeps where you started and it saves it. So you can come back to it. But if you wait too long between asking the next question, it will kind of bomb out on you, and you just have to, just like we do with this platform, you might have to refresh. So I just refreshed. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I thought I wrote that. I thought I copied that. Maybe I didn't. Okay. So now I've got to retype it. Other types. So go ahead. Anybody have any thoughts for Casey on that before I ask ChatGPT?
Yes, keep posting on Facebook on your personal page.
Yeah.
Go live every day, which I haven't been doing. Just get yourself out there on the social media platforms, and until you actually build up like an audience with that, don't waste your money on doing Facebook ads. Wait till you have a good size audience. This is what I've been learning on the other mastermind with insurance agents, that they're like, build up your personal brand.
Yeah.
So let's see what chat says.
Well, is Facebook a better avenue for daily posts, or would Instagram be better? I don't want to do TikTok. I'm looking at Instagram or Pinterest, or
if your audience that you're trying to help is above 50, do Facebook.
Yeah.
So,
Are you seeing what it's saying here?
Yeah.
Okay, it's a lot of stuff. It's pretty dang good. So at least as a starting point,
I'm looking at the community events. I'm really
so let me back up a little bit, Casey. So what I asked, just so you understand the context, I said, what other types of community events, social media platforms, et cetera, can I use in addition to one-to-one meetings? Because I already asked about one-to-one, right?
Right.
So I said, it says webinars, and I'm not going to go into all the details. I'll send this to you or anybody else that's in. By the way, anybody, as a standard thing, if we pursue something in this mastermind and you say, boy, I'd really like to have that as a thought starter for my own self after I leave this meeting, just let me know. You can text me, you can email me. You can ask me. If you ask me verbally, I have ADD, so I may forget. But if you text me or email me and remind me, I will send it. But yeah, I will be happy to share anything we get out of this with you, since you've invested the time to be here. So workshops and seminars, social media platforms. It doesn't mention TikTok, by the way. I found that interesting. You said I didn't want to do TikTok. It didn't mention it. It says Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn to engage potential customers. Podcasts, consider launching a podcast, or at least being a guest on podcasts. Yeah. I would say before you launch a podcast, be a guest. Okay. Community events, participate in local community events, trade shows, conferences, products, these events, and and then influencer marketing, work with people, in your industry. And then overall, there are many community social events, blah, blah, blah. So it just it's not, you can do the same thing we do. Remember, we've been doing this, lunch and learn, then bringing in speakers. Now we do a mastermind. And I say this over and over and over again. If we just take it away and we just say, oh yeah, that's pretty cool, I know that, and we don't do anything with it, it's almost worthless. Yeah. It just reinforces, we remember the things that we already knew, and we forget the things that are maybe the nuanced other things, right, that we could benefit from. So I'm not going to share, I'm going to unshare for a second. Just so anyway, Casey, I assume you want the thread of what I did.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I can email it to you. Any other thoughts? Bill, I know you have
and I do have to go. Sorry, everybody. I really enjoyed it. I'm off to the vets.
Okay. Take care of your critter.
Right. No, veterans.
Vets. Oh, vets. I thought I was thinking on Robbie D's thing. No, you're going to the veterinarians. Go take care of those that are serving us or have served us. Beautiful.
Right. Perfect.
Okay. Go ahead, Bill.
One of the things when it comes to Facebook is, in addition to your personal page, you can set up a business page, and that will focus strictly on your product or your service, and offer that, that here's how you can get in touch with me with respect to that. I'm in the process now of getting that set up, something I've never done before. I've always just used the personal page for LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter, but you can set up a business Facebook page also.
Okay.
That's one thing to do. I guess getting back to the question is, how can ChatGPT help you find the people that you want to get in touch with respect to whatever service you're offering? That's a pretty broad question, but how do you zero in on people that, well, for instance, how do you zero in? How do you find, or where do you go to find people that have questions about their themselves, or their purpose?
Okay, sorry, I'm typing that. Anybody have a response before, or just other than ChatGPT? Anybody?
It's kind of hard to narrow down a target market because it's not by age or race or gender or anything else. It could be anybody.
Okay, I'm gonna. Any thoughts there before I share my screen and distract everybody? That's why I take the screen off, so we can see. By the way, we're all here. If you want to see just the screen, that's what the default is when I start sharing screen. I think Ricky's. I can actually just see the screen, and myself takes over. The screen takes over my presence on it. But I can also go back to the grid. Okay, I'm going to share my screen then and show you what question I asked, and then let's see what ChatGPT says. See if it starts responding. Okay, good. It's responding. So let me go over here and share screen. So here I asked the question, how can I use ChatGPT to help me find people that are searching for meaning to life and business? I don't know if that was the right way to frame it. I just figured.
Yeah, that's close enough.
So I said chat. And so it said, here's what it says. And it gives social media monitoring, search for keywords, meaning of life, meaning in business. So in other words, you can go into the various platforms, whether they're Twitter, Facebook, others, and either look for hashtags or just, do, natural language ChatGPT, and it tells you what ChatGPT can also scan various online forums and communities such as Reddit or Quora to identify individuals who are seeking advice, finding meaning in their personal or professional lives, so on. So that was its.
Yeah, great. That's a good idea. Yeah. That's kind of like what I tell people that are job searchers, to use LinkedIn proactively to find people that are in areas or in companies that you're interested in. So it's kind of along the same line.
Yeah. So I'll send you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's a good thought. Yeah, follow my own advice.
Yeah, there you go.
Use it proactively, right?
Good strategy. Any other questions? This is good.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay.
Bernie, your lips are moving. I don't know if you're talking to somebody else or you're not muted. Bernie, I think I hear clicks. Is that you, Bernie? No, you might need to refresh for some reason. I'm not hearing you. It must have gotten disconnected to your microphone. Okay, so any other questions? Surely we don't know everything. Ricky, you got any questions? You want to talk about merchant services, or we wrote a song for you the other day, a few weeks back. So anything in the merchant services area that's
I got something for you.
Okay, go ahead, Zip. Ricky,
Ask him to do some research on CBG, the effect of CBG on the brain.
There you go.
Okay, well, Ricky, you can go ahead while I'm starting a new chat with.
I'm still thinking. Let's do that one.
Okay.
Good question. Yeah.
And it's CBG, right?
D.
Well, he said G. I think there's
CBG is what I'm looking for.
Okay, so you ready? Zip?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. Here we go. And it adds the disclaimer at the end. Okay, so this is what it says. Cannabigerol, or CBG, is a non-psychoactive cannabinoid found in the cannabis plant, blah, 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 what it is. It has several potential effects on the brain. One of the most well-known effects on the brain is its potential neuroprotective properties, shown to have antioxidant and inflammatory effects, may protect brain cells from damage and degeneration, may also have potential antidepressant effects, potential anxiolytic, anti-anxiety effects, and finally have potential analgesic or pain relieving effects. And then it has more description there. So that's what ChatGPT says.
That's what I've been saying all along without some of those big words.
Yeah, well, we already talked about one of the biggest values to you in using ChatGPT is its ability to communicate, because as we know, that's not, I'm not being critical here, by the way, that's not your strong suit. So it's something, finding the right word, what you're a very smart guy. A lot of people are very smart, but how to articulate what's in your head I have that same problem. I often people look at me and go, okay, I don't understand that at all. So I'm good at that myself.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Hey, Bernie, I got you. We got you.
Okay. Let's see. My question is, can chat take one post of mine and populate 10 social media sites with that same posting?
Okay. Okay, I'm asking it in a little bit shorter version, so it's kind of in my words, but I just said, can ChatGPT take one post and share across multiple platforms? I'll see what it says, then we can refine it from there. Okay, is that okay for a starting point, Bernie?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So here's what ChatGPT tells us.
Can you make your font any bigger, Dave?
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm smart enough to do that. So
okay, no problem.
But I will send you this, and I'll give you the high points here as I'm looking at it, because I'm looking at it on my screen. It says, as an AI language model, I do not have the ability to post or share content directly on any platforms. However, I can provide you with suggestions on how you can share your post across multiple platforms. One way to share your post is to manually copy and paste. Makes sense. Alternatively, you can use social media management tools like Hootsuite or Buffer to schedule and publish your post. Blah blah blah. These, it's worth noting that different social media platforms have different requirements, limitations regarding post length, formatting, so on and so forth. So that was the beginning of that. Given those things, what do you have a follow-on question?
No, that's good enough. I think I get it.
Right.
I got a follow-up to mine to ChatGPT. Say how I have a 30-second commercial. What would you put in a 30-second commercial, or some phrase that for the hemp CBG?
I'm typing it. Let's see what happens. Okay. It's typing something. We'll see it together here. Are you seeing that, or do I have to? I think I may have to. Does it show?
I see it.
Okay, so it took. I went back to CBG effects. So it says. So here's a 30-second commercial, and since I use commercial, it's thinking of it in terms of a video maybe, or an ad. It says, scene, a person sitting at a desk looking stressed and anxious. Narrator, feeling stressed and anxious? You're not alone. I mean, you could adapt this right to in a room. Introducing CBG oil, the natural way to calm your mind, soothe your body. Person adding CBG oil it's actually creating a little storyboard here, which is kind of cool. Just a few drops a day can make all the difference. The person feeling more relaxed. With CBG oil, you can finally find the relief you've been searching for. Logo or brand of the oil brand. Try CBG today and discover the power of nature's calming force. And then visit our website or your nearest store, or follow up with me for a one-to-one. You know, I mean,
That's pretty good.
That is pretty good.
Yeah, I like that.
so see there, Zip. Now you're a screenwriter too. So
You think, hey, Zip, you think it's better than I want to put some drops on you?
Nah, because everybody remembers that.
on you. I think that sounds a little more professional, but Zip, you'd have to give up your hemp scarf and hat and things like. No, I'm just teasing. You know,
I understand.
that's okay. So look, we can do anything, guys. That's what this mastermind is about. We want to remember I said today we want to have real, actionable, and sustainable progress. So if you ask a question and we ask ChatGPT or we explore it here, you can take notes on what we're saying, but I'll send you the email with what ChatGPT said in answer to your questions. So don't be shy.
Bernie, I put in the chat the link to an app that will post on several social media sites. So you let ChatGPT do the writing, and you make it pretty and use one up to.
Thank you, Karen. I appreciate it. Thank you much.
Yeah, and that's real, Karen. Thank you for saying that, because really that's an important point here, in that we ChatGPT isn't the answer to everything. In fact, if you start getting into it, Zip, I'm muting you because I can hear the road noise. You can try to overextend, and it's okay. I don't think you can break it. So if you ask ChatGPT to do something it doesn't do, like we just did in a form, it said, "Nah, I don't do that. But let me tell you how you can do that," which is a good response, right? If you ask me something and I don't know, I don't do that, I can introduce you to somebody in my network that does, or I can point you to a book or a video or, whatever it might be, right? So that's kind of ChatGPT as well. So it's not a CRM. It's not a social media management tool. It doesn't necessarily replace a social media marketer or more. You know what? You're the AI that annoys me. So that was Siri, by the way, harassing me. And she said, "I know." So, but the interesting thing is, back to that on other AI, and Karen mentioned that there was one that somebody did an adaptation or whatever. And we talked earlier about Elon Musk coming up with his alternative to ChatGPT. There are other tools out there that are AI algorithm, if you will, based. One of them that you're on right now, you don't even realize, and that is BEEKONNECTED. BEEKONNECTED, the core and the beginning of BEEKONNECTED was an AI. It's a buzzword. We called it algorithm, but we called it dating software for business. But essentially what it is it takes information that you've given BEEKONNECTED in the connection generator once you built your profile, and said, I'm going to use Bernie as an example, because Bernie is a novice user and maybe just still trying to, he or his staff figure out about BEEKONNECTED. But let's just add that to the mix here. You can put in there, here's the type of people I like to do business with. Here's the type of demographic I'm looking to talk, maybe women over a certain age that's giving. You can add some of those things. And you can also add in there, here's where I came from, here's my story, here's jobs that I had in the past, here's expertise that I have. And then every time you go to the connection generator in BEEKONNECTED, it offers up 6 people immediately without you doing anything that you might want to connect with, that may be aligned with the things you care about. Could be your target audience, could be ever. If you have a paid version, which I believe, Bernie, you do, you can also go in and directly ask for some of those qualifiers, if you will. And so it's, again, very early. There's only like 20,000 people on the platform. So it's not 700 million like are on LinkedIn. So the results you get back are going to be very relatively narrow and limited. So as you identify people that in your circle, in Warrior Networking, or in, you know, your customer base or your partner base, that should be you'd like to have in your community, that are quick connections, people that you'd like to kind of have easily in your database, you can actually use that tool to, you know, as an AI. It's an AI. It doesn't do what ChatGPT does. There's also a program, I just drew a blank on the name, but it's for images and art. You can actually put in, I want a picture of this, and, you know, craft a picture, and here's kind of what I like. And it's an AI that will come back and give you an image based upon your specifications. So
Wow.
Don Huff isn't on here, but, you know, it does, you know, there's a lot of, quote, potential fear maybe that people have, right, with you know, it replacing their jobs. And I would say it doesn't. It can get you started, it can get you down the road, but people who've invested their 10,000 hours in learning some particular area, even though you might be able to tap the global database to get some starter dough, as I call it, it still benefits from having somebody add to the equation that are marketers, graphic designers, those kind of things, to take it and make it yours as it does that. So any thoughts on that, Bernie, from your perspective? Again, you're kind of I think you're at least as much of a Sherpa here as I am in this thing.
No, I don't think I have anything to add. I did hear in the media that it can take 4 or 5 words and replicate your voice. And a distressed grandma got a call from who she thought was her granddaughter. She recognized her granddaughter's voice, and her granddaughter was confessed to being kidnapped or distressed in some fashion. And grandma sent, I think this is a lot of money, but I think she sent $1 million and lost it all because she
Thought it was her granddaughter.
She absolutely thought it was her granddaughter.
Yeah.
So there's this voice replicating feature that's going to put scams on steroids.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, and I don't know if it's ChatGPT or if it's one of the there's a whole list. I mean, if you run across an AI program, other program like ChatGPT or whatever that you discover, one of the things you can bring to the mastermind is just, hey, I found this. We're not, quote, selling any products or services here relative to AI. This mastermind is about all of us being on a journey of learning how, as we talked about in the beginning, I don't remember even who said it, but you got it right, in my opinion, is how do we take the capabilities, the tool set here, and actually apply it to our business and and learn how to do some things. I find that a much more useful way, as opposed to give me 2,000 prompts and I'll just start, you know, it might be a good starting point for somebody who doesn't want to think about what questions to ask. But I would encourage you, don't minimize your own intelligence. Don't assume that the question that I would ask is the same question you would ask. Ask it the way you would ask it. Train it to a little bit to know you, and then go from there and tell us what you learn. Bring it to the mastermind. Bring it to, this is how I applied it. I really want to get into a journey here of how can we take this tool together collectively and make it good. There's a lot of